95% of the things I say in my videos, they're not up for debate. They're not up for interpretation. Just because it's not a popular opinion, just because your pastor doesn't teach this in your church or your Hebrew Israelite group does not teach this, does not mean that it's incorrect. I give you the verses and I give you the scriptures so you can go and read it for yourself. I get so much criticism in the comment sections after videos. I know the people in the comment section have not watched the video in its entirety and they have never read the Bible in its entirety. And I would encourage everybody to at least go and look at the verses that I bring in my videos. Because if you go back and you read them, you will see that what I'm saying is not up for debate. There's a term called the herd mentality. And for those of you who may not know what that means, I'm going to put it on the screen so you can read it. The herd mentality refers to a tendency of individuals to conform to behaviors or decisions or opinions of a larger group, often without critically analyzing the situation or considering alternative perspectives. The phenomenon is also known as the mob mentality or groupthink. It is driven by a natural human desire to belong, avoid conflict, and seek safety in numbers. So when I say something and it's completely different than what you've heard, most people get so angry when they hear it is because they prefer the herd mentality or the mob mentality. They've never analyzed what they believed or looked at the Bible for themselves because they find the safety in the numbers. It's a natural human tendency. When you're born, it's naturally to want to be part of a larger group because you feel that that group is going to be right. But what we've learned in society, if you want to do something big or you want to do something better, you have to avoid the herd mentality. When I say things like there's no Antichrist coming, just because it's not popular doesn't make it wrong. It's for you to go and analyze what I'm saying, use the verses that I mentioned, and go and read the entire book for yourself. The Antichrist, talked about in the Bible, in Matthew and in Daniel, the central figure has already come and gone. Antichrist, the one that we are to be aware of now, is a bloodline. It's a group. It's a family, group of descendants. There's no central figure coming. And just because your pastor talks about this doesn't make him right. To gain a deeper understanding of the Bible, you have to take two more passages that address the same event and compare them side by side. Each passage is going to provide unique details or perspectives. Aligning them will allow you to see the bigger picture clearly, and you're going to get a better understanding of what the Bible is saying. And I do that in almost every video. So let's do that today, and I'm going to show you that the Antichrist is the central figure. He's come and gone. And everything that the Bible says that he would do, he's done already. Let's start out by reading Matthew chapter 24, verse 1. And Yeshua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him to show him the buildings of the temple. And Yeshua said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be one stone left upon another that shall not be thrown down. And as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? The disciples, or the people who followed him, was showing him the temple. He explains to them, the temple that you think is so beautiful is going to be destroyed. Then they said, well, when is that going to happen? Very simply. And then we can go and read the same story in Luke. Luke chapter 21, verse 5. And some spake of the temple and how it was adorned with goodly stones and gifts. And he said, As for these things which ye behold, the day will come in which there shall not be one stone left upon another that shall not be thrown down. Now, if you can't see how these verses are connected and that everything that we're going to read after this is the same event, I don't know what to say. Matthew 24 and in Luke 21, we're talking about the same thing. And as you go down, you're going to see that it's the same event and that these things have occurred already. Matthew 24, verse 4. Remember now, he's answering, when shall these things be? When will the temple be thrown down? Matthew 24, verse 4. And Yeshua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. What must come to pass? The destruction of the temple. When you hear the wars and the rumors of wars, the destruction of the temple is not going to happen at that point. You still have time. Let's jump down to verse 15. When you therefore shall see the abomination, desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, then let him which is in Judea flee into the mountains. So he's telling them, when you start hearing wars and rumors of wars, the end is not yet. But when you see this person that was spoken of, which most people call the Antichrist, standing in the holy place, Where? When he comes to Jerusalem. That's your chance to run. You can leave now, but that is going to be your last chance to run out of Jerusalem. Things will change once you see this central Antichrist figure standing in Jerusalem. And I'm going to show you this happened already, because he was talking about the destruction of the temple. In verse 16, then let him which is in Judea flee into the mountains. Now let's read the same thing in Luke. Luke chapter 21, verse 20. When you see Jerusalem surrounded with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. The desolation is the emptying out. Just look up what desolation means. The emptying out of Jerusalem. Just know that it's close. So when you see the Roman army surrounding Jerusalem, know that the desolation or the time to run is at hand. Then let them which are in Judea flee into the mountains, and let them which are in the midst depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter therein too. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. What things may be fulfilled? All the things that were written by Moses. You have to go back and read what Moses said would happen. Daniel thought it was happening during their time, but Christ is telling them that when you see this, after my death and resurrection, the countdown starts. Leave. The Most High is not with you. That's why it says the days of vengeance. The vengeance of who? Not the Roman Empire. The vengeance of the Most High against his people. So how do we know that this occurred already? Let's read Matthew 24, verse 32. Now learn the parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender, and it putteth forth his leaves, you know that summer is nigh. We don't have fig trees here in our part of the world, but we know that when you see the trees budding and certain flowers budding, we know that spring is close. Once we see that, verse 33. So likewise, when you see the things, know that it's near, even at the doors. So when you see the things I told you about, the army surrounding Jerusalem, know that it's near, even at the doors. Verse 34. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. This is going to hurt, but a lot of you are hoping that this is going to be sometime in the future. This Antichrist figure, he can't come in the future. Christ already gave his stamp. If he's incorrect, you can toss your Bible away. He said, this generation will not pass till these things be fulfilled. It's not up for debate. There's no argument. He said that all this generation, the people that were listening to him talk, that generation, the time he was speaking, 70 years later or a little bit more, they had to leave Jerusalem. Those wars started in 60 AD. If you go back and look, the temple was destroyed around 70 AD. All what he spoke about in Matthew 24, Luke 21, and in Mark happened. The abomination, desolation standing in the holy place. It happened already. And the Great Tribulation that's supposedly coming, that's not coming for you. The Great Tribulation happened to the children of Israel. Let's read that. Matthew 24, verse 21. Then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. The Great Tribulation is in verse 21, and the parable about the fig tree is in verse 32. And when he says, this generation shall not pass, he's talking about the Great Tribulation also. It started then. It's still going on now. Let's read that in Luke chapter 21, verse 24. This is the Great Tribulation. Remember, these two stories are the same. Luke 21, Matthew 24. You have to line them up. Matthew 24 says Great Tribulation. Luke 21 explains what the tribulation is. Luke chapter 21, 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and they shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. The Great Tribulation and the children of Israel being carried as slaves to the entire world is the same event. This generation shall not pass until these things be fulfilled. The wrath upon this group of people. Luke 22 says the vengeance of the Most High on his people. What kind of vengeance? The Great Tribulation. The Great Tribulation is them being carried away as slaves to the entire world. As I explained in videos before this, the transatlantic slave trade is the Great Tribulation. Not up for debate. It's not up for dispute. It's the only time that has happened in the history of the world where a group of people, a bloodline, not a color. If you're looking for them to all be dark people, that's what you saw in the movies. There was every shade of color on that ship. That is not up for debate. That is not disputed. What you watched was a movie, but in real life, it was a bloodline that was carried to every nation in the world. So to sum this all up, what we read about, the abomination, desolation, the Great Tribulation, it's happened already until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. The non-Israelite nations have a certain time to rule the earth and to live in Jerusalem. That's why it says Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. The time is running out for them to rule. We're getting closer. No idea when it's going to be. But their rule ends with war. That's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.